Ryan from RightBlogger here, and I've got an awesome interview for you today, including a story that led to a Casey Neistat product review on his YouTube channel that got 3.7 million views and pre-sold millions of dollars in revenue for a product that didn't even launch yet. If you want to learn how to grow a business with creativity and a tight budget, this one's for you. I'm chatting today with Teddy Giard, a Shark Tank alum, product marketing master, RightBlogger customer, and the CEO of Giard & Co., where they partner with lifestyle brands to launch, grow, and scale through some very nuanced, clever digital marketing and storytelling activities, which we get into during our conversation. We talk about what it was really like going on Shark Tank and what happened right after when their episode aired. We pull the thread on what makes truly great content today, how to really tune into what your ideal customers want, and how you can meet them with the right solutions exactly where they're looking for help. Oh, and scoring that Casey Neistat video, this is an absolutely bonkers case study in effective influencer marketing and creating experiences that your early customers are going to be excited to share about. So I know you're going to like this one. Please enjoy my conversation with Teddy Giard. Welcome to the show. Could you please tell us your name and who you are, what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. My name's Teddy Giard. I specialize in marketing strategies for outdoor brands. I've built and scaled a number of consumer product brands in my short, 10 years in the industry. I'm 26 years old now, but I've always had a passion for building products. And then most importantly, just like figuring out how they can change people's lives and make the world a more enjoyable place. So really, I believe that founders have the ability to actually share messages and enhance people's lives. And so my whole mission is empowering the right people to actually make the world the sort of state that we want our future generations to live in. And I think we can do that through products, which is a lot of people think we need less. I do think we need less. I think that we just need better. So better led and also just better quality.
I love that. Beautiful. Well, I want to rewind back to your early days. So one of your early businesses, you guys went on Shark Tank with this, Kanga coolers, right?
Yep.
Was Shark Tank worth it?
That's a great question. Shark Tank was what propelled the business. The show itself, there's the business side of it and there's the Hollywood aspect. And it's kind of interesting when you're actually immersed that neither one seem to talk to each other as much as you would think. They are very separate entities. I was 19 or 20 when I was on the show. So at my age, you're just like, wow, this is crazy. But I never really watched Shark Tank much going into it. And the reason I didn't was because when I caught wind that we were probably going to go on the show is I didn't want to look at the judges as celebrities or be intimidated whatsoever. So I treated it like a normal conversation, which ended up working in my favor on the show. And the other guys handled it the way that they wanted to handle, which also worked for their favor. But I would say if you are a solopreneur and you don't have the resources around you or people in your corner that can help you network to find the right people that specialize in the areas that you need to scale your business, that partnering with a shark could be a very viable resource. But I think if you have a team around you that's capable of executing, that your money will probably go further having an investor that is more specialized in the industry and has connections that they're willing to leverage to propel your business forward.
So in your experience, was it more for the marketing benefits or about the investment you could take?
I think so. If you were to ask me, it was 100% marketing. If you were to ask the other guys, I think they'd say it was more the investment. But my whole spiel going into the whole thing was no matter what we do, we're going to be the most TV worthy episode so that there's no way in hell they don't air us. And so I was always looking at the story of college kids went on Shark Tank to, scale their own business from a class project or whatever, which ends up being the story that they still run with to this day. So that was my MO, was no matter what, we're going to be, dressed as kangaroo. I went on the show dressed as a kangaroo, did a backflip. Like, we're going to talk about how we all put 800, I put a little bit more into, but 800 to like $1,000 into the business. that sort of thing. Just make it inspirational, make it the college American dream. And, that worked in our favor.
Yeah, so I can see the threads of 19-year-old Teddy here already becoming a great storyteller, like the gears that you're turning in behind the scenes as you guys prepare for this episode. So, what happened when your episode aired?
So we didn't know that they tell you that if you shake, you get a deal on the show, if you have to close it to air. That's kind of like, I don't know if they ever tell you that, but that's like the rumor in the air. So we shook on the deal, but we didn't take it in real life after, 6 months of negotiation. So Teddy, like 19, 20-year-old Teddy was in his college apartment that my roommate and I had converted into our marketing studio with like, white boxes for product shots, you name it. Our other two roommates were like beyond supportive to even like we took over the kitchen. You couldn't even cook in our apartment. But we had a full studio there, monitors, you name it. We were fully prepared to figure out how to get the product on Amazon. And we were trying to do the SEO research to figure out what keywords would get people to buy, what's the cost per click. We're really trying to figure out what the average order value is and like customer acquisition cost is to keep the company profitable. And as we were having that meeting, I remember the CEO came to campus. He had graduated at this point. He came to campus to come in and check on us, and we were talking about our sprint to go on Amazon, and we got hit with an email like within our Amazon conversation. I was like, guys, like we're actually airing in 2 weeks. So everything changed because we're like, well, we're gonna have the web traffic. Then go, we didn't know jack about Facebook ads or capturing leads or anything like that. Like, I don't even know if we captured emails from the Shark Tank lead. We just sold out a product, and then we were like, fuck yeah, great. And then after that, it was kind of pickup. But as far as like the whole launch went, we're like, well, if we're airing on Shark Tank, the entrepreneurship department at Clemson, led by John Hannon, they're super supportive. And they were like, hey, let's do a whole TV airing, whatever. So we had like 350 people show up and pack out a bar to watch the episode. It was cool. It was really cool. Like, and we leveraged like a whole YouTube video about our journey starting the business to actually going on, which I think has like 60 something thousand views on YouTube. But like that whole story, we aired that video before the Shark Tank episode played. So it was kind of like chapter 1, chapter 2. Now it's on to chapter 3. And I mean, I was a junior in college at that point. So like my life on campus changed after that episode aired, which was cool.
What ended up happening with Kanga Coolers?
So they're still kicking it and apparently crushing it. And I hope they are. For me, I was ready to take the next leap. I was my minority equity holder, and I was the marketing efforts were contributing a significant amount of revenue, and I was receiving other job offers that were making me turn my head. And so at that point, I realized like, hey, this was the best launch pad that anybody could ever ask for, but these guys have more skin in the game to take this thing to the next level than I do. And the best decision for my career is to go and move in a different direction. And so I went and I worked as brand director for another business in Charleston, where I then helped them raise 5 million with crowdfunding. So I got experience there, and I learned it was a beverage brand. It was Island Coastal Lager. That was where I learned the whole beverage distribution side of things too. So I started to learn how e-commerce and distribution can work hand in hand, and the importance of sales. And this was when I started to kind of uncover the SEO landscape of like, well, if people are asking questions, how can I start to leverage that to tell good? How can I use the storytelling skills I have to actually make marketing entertaining, but also something that's applicable? And how can that application of knowledge be remembered and used in everyday life to where subliminally they still, create an umbrella in their mind around our product ecosystem as well. So you always remember the roots of where something came from, where you learned it. So however you can provide that value, if there's a trigger that allows you to go and purchase there, like that's the sort of spider web we were trying to create. So I did that, and that was an incredible experience. And then after about a year, I had enough people knocking on my door asking me if I did this full time. And it got to the point where I had some, some people that worked, were intertwined with the company that were starting to ask me if I did side stuff. And I was like, look, this has been such a good run. I'm not here to piss anybody off. Like, give me like 3 weeks and like let me set up my stuff. And then ever since then, I've been running my own firm.
I love that, man. That's very similar to a lot of the creators' journeys that I get to interact with and meet, and honestly, similar to my own. Like, cut your teeth on building the skill, make it a useful skill, find your unique flavor at it, like weave in some like mediums that you find interesting, get good at those things like video and storytelling and
Yeah,
writing and SEO, and then boom, it's like you're now future proof. You're at the
totally,
center of
dude.
everything else you do.
The biggest thing that you can do, which I was very blessed that I was like the GoPro generation. So like
Yeah.
I got a GoPro young and I was always into action sports and stuff. And that was what propelled me into videography. And I started just fine tuning that because I just loved it. And so that was what propelled me into marketing because I actually had someone I was doing a project with my my business partner Kyle, his he co-founder of Kanga, his brother was a co-founder of like Momentary Ink, which was like a temporary tattoo company. And I remember their CEO at the time had us come go and shadow, and he looked at my video work and he's like, dude, this is incredible work, but it's completely meaningless. And I was like, what do what do you mean? He was like, you can make the best video in the whole world, but if you don't know how to get it in front of the right people, then it's completely worthless. And that sentence was what spearheaded my marketing career. And so the rest was history there. And so, what's the right
That's a
now,
really
like,
nice challenge right there too, because it sends you
so
down a
good.
rabbit hole that you're already interested in.
Yeah, and it just uncovers like a thought process that you may not have had before. So all the emphasis before that was on brand building. It was storytelling, brand building, and then marketing fell in. And there's a world where all of them can be used properly. Most people I've found just don't know how to invest in the right ones first. And so you always have the definition of, I define the definition of marketing like at its root is spending money to make money. And that's literally what it is. Like there are so many complicated definitions, but what is marketing's role in a business? It is how much does it cost me to make more money? So in a way, you are discounting your product. You're just paying to create demand for it. So there's going to be this hurdle that you have to get over to start to achieve like consumer adoption. From there, once you can pinpoint those value props, and you can equip a sales team with like winning prompts and scripts, like the rest is history. So uncovering that is really the strategy and exciting part that you see most companies go belly up that probably had an opportunity not to. So at Kanga, at least, Shark Tank was our saving grace to get us over that hump. So that was what propelled us into the future to realize like, holy shit, we're lucky that we had that boost.
That's like an adrenaline shot into the arm.
Yeah, totally. And like, in marketing wise, we were like, our social media was crushing at the time so in the era of social media that it was in. But, looking back on it now, like we weren't doing anything right. But I think that was part of the beauty was it was so unconventional. And I think people resonated with that.
Oh, I love that. So nowadays, you're working with outdoor brands primarily. And from what I can see, all things marketing, product development, strategy, branding, storytelling, like you've got a pretty kind of comprehensive suite of things that you're touching on for people. And I feel like maybe I have a hunch about what your answer is going to be to this one, but why did you choose the outdoor space to work with primarily?
Well, for one, I love it. That's where I spend my time. That's what I'm most passionate about. I think the outdoor space, you're more likely to be purpose driven. And also I was raised in immersed in the outdoor space. My dad was senior vice president of Burton Snowboards, was a product manager at Trek, and he went on to be a vice president at Under Armour, and he was always spearheading their product innovation. and opening up global supply chain. So for me, marketing in the outdoor space, it's specifically, I think product and marketing should be integrated. Like the department should be integrated, like in any business. But I think more so than others, the product, the way that in the outdoor space, you really have the opportunity to make a product for market as opposed to making a product to market. And that was where the passion really lied, was we can actually go and build things that are going to change people's lives and just make them more enjoyable. And the ability to do that, and the most effective way to market that is through a lifestyle. And that's that storytelling aspect that I always crave to be able to harness.
Oh, that's great. So you lived it and you breathed it growing up, and like you probably got to just see people doing this naturally. Your dad. Oh, that's awesome.
Totally. That was the itch. Like I remember I remember like, just young seeing guys like Jake Burton, like the way that they would throw parties for their like companies, and they were building this culture. And Kevin Plank with Under Armour, like whenever there's a new product innovation, just like how amped he was. And getting to see that firsthand really took away the whole, like, nowadays when you see a CEO on LinkedIn, like there's this whole like digital block to where, anytime you see somebody on a screen, they're kind of a little bit like bigger than, maybe if they're not. That'll eventually change as everyone starts to produce content, which is kind of the world we're rolling into. But there is like a higher perceived value or like level of expertise if you're able to like articulate yourself through video. So getting to see the humanity behind CEOs, the humanity behind business, seeing the ups and downs at an early age, and how product innovation is really what spearheads everything was awesome. And that's impacted our approach with how we approach companies that we work with. We always go at it with a product focus first. What's the product timeline? Is it research? Is it data backed? Why are we doing it? What are the colorways? Are we going to have too many SKUs? What are the lead times? Okay, now how do we take all that information, forecast what we're going to make, and then use that money to also build out a comprehensive marketing plan that's encompassing with a direct, creative events, endorsements, you name it. Everyone has a different budget. How do we allocate it? And then at that point, how do we cash flow the business model so that we can start
Yeah.
to forecast for low periods, and then also, you know, spend while it's hot. So that's really what we come in and do. And every client that we work with, we build out, we call it an integrated marketing plan. We build out a comprehensive and fully customized integrated marketing plan. And we could go and offer white label production for anybody. And I like to think our production is top notch with the, production teams that we have access to and have worked with in the past. I know it's competitive in the Facebook space, like, but across our portfolio, we average like a 5% click-through rate and over a 40% stop rate, which that's pretty crazy blended numbers. So we're always looking at it with, you know, unless we can come in, like part of the reason why we're able to do that is because we actually have a good strategy on the forefront. So we're not in the business to come in and just execute on ideas. We're in the business of collaborating to actually make marketing an investment, not an expense.
So, from my observation of what you guys are doing, something that works really well, this is my assumption, but you're very hands-on. So, I've worked in marketing for 15 years, right? And
Right.
I have been a consultant for Fortune 500 brands. I've been an in-house head of content. And so we contract out to marketing teams and production teams to help out with stuff throughout the years. And what I usually find is that most people that you hire out work to, consultants, agencies, contractors, whatever, they're not super invested in the
Yeah,
actual outcomes of the business. And it sounds like
totally.
you found a way to incentivize you yourself and your team on that side.
Absolutely. Most deals that we come in to, we are, if it's cash, we offer like a three-tier package. We can do cash up front. That's great. It's obviously like we say no more than we say yes, which is a huge, you got to learn that at a certain point. And there's nothing better in life than having the opportunity to say no, and that's a blessing. So we do have that ability right now, so we can keep our scope and focus very narrow. But we will come in, and if, the cash is in the right position, obviously we'll do a cash offer. Next stage, we'll do like a rev share model. And then in a lot of cases, we also do like equity. So we like to be bought in. We have a minimum contract of 6 months. We have to be engulfed in order to produce results. And at the end of the day, like we charge our rates because we have an internal team that is working on your product. I don't believe in outsourcing. I do believe in outsourcing. I don't believe in outsourcing unqualified talent. And so if we're bringing on anybody, they're an expert in their field and in their craft, and they're only engaged if that portion, if their expertise is needed for the actual scope for that project. And so everything we do is very hands-on with the client, and that's the way we like to do it. I just couldn't imagine being surface level. And that's why I try to position ourselves as more as a firm rather than a agency, because I think most agencies have their business model is defined by churn rate, and that's just not our model.
Billable hours. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
things
we
that
don't do
aren't
that.
quite incentivized right, I think.
Yeah, we're all about like it's cliche nowadays, it's overused, but value-based pricing. Like we're here to grow you and grow with you. And our every time that we've never parted ways with a client on bad terms. Like we've always just reached an agreement of, hey, look, you guys want to go in this direction, that's cool. And more often than not, it's us coming in and saying, we think that you guys need to invest in a full-time CMO, or we think that you guys should bring in a more hands-on agency that has more arms. Because right now your strategy has shifted to scale. We can scale at our current rate, but if you guys believe that the strategy needs to be elsewhere, we're happy to help you vet out the right firm. We've even helped them staff new companies to replace us. But that's
Ooh,
the sort of
that's
relationship we like
nice.
to have. Yeah.
So I want to drill into a couple of the like really kind of nitty-gritty things here that I have based on our
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation. And one of them is, how are you going about acquiring customers in the outdoor space? Are you like, do you have an outbound sales team? Are you running Facebook ads? Are you just doing thought leadership content? What's working for you?
The truth is, it's almost all been word of mouth. And that's awesome. Also, it's tough to say that as someone who comes in and runs marketing for companies, but there's nothing I like more than seeing a company that is thriving off of word of mouth. So obviously it's a good place to be in. Right now, I think a better question is, where are we focusing? And our focus right now is on creating content to create outbound leads and then booking calls with qualified leads. So we we have a CRM, we have a sales process, but the part of the reason why we brought RightBlogger into our, software stack is its ability to understand the SEO landscape so we can make sure that we are positioning ourselves as the experts in the field that we know that we thrive in. So that's where tools like this come around. And so where we're using RightBlogger is for our top of funnel outbound leads, and then as well as nurturing our bottom of funnel. So there you have it. That's really our approach right now. And we're in a position of scale right now. The last year has really been systematizing and building out the operations in order to properly scale the number of clients we would like to have.
So you guys are doing something that I really love doing myself too in my own businesses is like I like to think through what are people searching for online? What are the exact things? And ideally like long tail stuff, like AI tools for bloggers would be somewhat long tail compared to someone just Googling AI tools, right? So
Long tail
I
is like
love
another way. Yeah. You go.
I
Sorry.
love building out a huge cluster around these like long tail things. So how do you approach kind of that ideation and like brainstorming and then into the execution piece?
That's spot on. It's funny. Long tail search terms, like a better, like another way to use that definition is just like specialized search. And so everyone wants to go viral, right? Everyone's like, oh, if I just go viral, it's going to change my life, or it's going to like going viral is
Solve
more
all
than
the
often.
problems.
Yeah, well, going viral in many cases like creates more problems for most companies. If you don't have the inventory to support it, if you don't have like imagine imagine if you only had like two sales reps and you went viral like 5 times and they just got flooded with messages and now they're booked out with calls. You're probably not filtering enough. And so we'd rather have a smaller following and a more niche following and speak directly to them, where we'll really use like the SEO landscape is to figure out what are the high level questions people are asking. So seed content at a high level to bring in the traffic and then have a proper mix of mid funnel, which is longer key, more specialized search terms, oftentimes questions that are asked from the top of funnel prospects. So let's say we're doing like product marketing. Most people don't search like product marketing because it's not something you think of as like a, yeah, exactly. So, but people will look up like how to build a brand. So, how can brand building then tie into product marketing? And then how can we leverage our knowledge of brand building and then tie that into product marketing to take a video that potentially gets 100,000 views and let's say 50 comments, 20 of the comments are comments that you can reply to and create content around. Reply to those comments and then use that ability to either position other case studies that you've done on your own to talk further about it. And then we will channel them to a newsletter where we have a lead magnet. It's in the process of being built. It will be launched next week, but a lead magnet where I have a resource of just all the tech stack and tools I've used to build my business. I used to give that away. So in exchange, we'll be giving away information, giving, the classic value quote, but providing value to our audience and hopefully qualifying people to become the right clientele that we want to service.
So you said something that like low key is actually a really big deal I've found is that comments, reader questions, like things that you see people chattering about in your space, those are often some of the best content ideas that you can go create
They are the
videos or
best.
blog posts around.
They are the best because they're, like when your teacher in school was always like, you know, the one kid in class who was not afraid to ask questions, she's like, thank you, because other people have those same questions. They're just afraid to ask. That's the comments section. 80% of your comments are gonna be like, oh yeah, you're such a douchebag. But that's great. It's just boosting you in the algorithm. Let it be that. But the few people that actually have legitimate questions, just know that there are other people that are also asking those questions. And if you reply to them, you're triggering the algorithm to say, hey, go look at lookalike audiences from that person and then show this reply to them. If you can start compounding off of your replies to people, that's like really where you're going to create the ecosystem. That was how we leveraged the entire go-to-market strategy for Shift Robotics around replying to comments because we knew that that was going to be that was going to create the SEO landscape. So we knew what keywords we wanted to rank for. We created the content topics. We knew what SEO keywords we wanted to create and own. And then we leveraged the right comments. We scraped comments on our most viral videos that were, top of funnel, then replied to them. And we created this spider web, posted 45 videos within a 48-hour time span, generated 179 million organic impressions and 2.1 million in pre-order sales from 2 days of posting. But it was all pre-production and execution. We had all the content like already produced on the front end. So when people asked the question, we just responded to it.
That's amazing. That's some really good pre-planning strategy. And for everyone watching, listening, Shift Robotics is this like $1,400 pair of AI-powered electric shoes. They look awesome. They look really fun.
They're so
And I actually
fun.
had a question about this one. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys got Casey Neistat to do a review about it. And he's one of the most coveted YouTube channels for doing product reviews. How did that sort of unfold?
So we were just talking about comments, right? This is great, right? So this is where I see a separation between a lot of like agencies and other firms and also like in-house people. It's people that are going the extra mile. I always tell people you are never too good to guerrilla market. And you have to be in the know, you have to be relevant, you have to be boots on the ground. So when we launched the video, it started circling around Twitter, and Casey retweeted it and was like, I want these just to make a video. And so, of course, like, we get his email from somebody, we reach out, no response, no response, no response. When we deployed our, like, I call it a content blitz scale. When we deployed the content blitz scale and we started going viral within like the first 2 hours, that was when like we had the team on the apps at all times. We're like, just keep replying to comments, keep going. One of the ones, like, now that things are streamlined, I stepped aside and I was like, okay, now's the time to get Casey. So I went, I screenshotted the tweet. I just threw, because I read through the comments. I'm like, someone's got to say like Casey Neistat needs to make a video with these. Found the comment, screenshotted the video, just replied to the comment, had a screenshot and I just put in captions like, Casey left the world's fastest shoes on red. Within the next 12 hours, we saw a pre-order come through from Casey Neistat. He pre-ordered the shoes. So now you go, okay, cool. We could obviously just send it to him, but now it's about creating an experience, right? It's the same thing we talked about with Shark Tank. How do we make sure that we air? How do we make sure that Casey makes a video? So we go to our lead engineer. We're like, hey, go to Ace Hardware, get a briefcase, a like bulletproof briefcase, and then spray paint the Shift logo on it. So he spray paints that. We then had our production team go and make him his own personalized video walking him through how to use the product that basically said, hello, Casey, you're in an AI voice. Hello, Casey, your order's been fast tracked. We made up the fast track term, but your order's been fast tracked. Here's how you can use your brand new pair of Moonwalkers. And we walked him through a step by step. This video will be deleted upon receiving the notification that it's been viewed. So we took that, hosted it as unlisted, created a QR code, printed off a one-pager, basically saying that he had been fast-tracked, had the CEO sign it and like stamp it in red, like, fast-tracked, whatever, included the QR code. So it got shipped to his door in New York. He was like, what the heck? Opened it up, and then he had this unboxing experience. Next thing we know, he's making a video within the next week. So he starts making, this is where it gets crazier, dude. He starts making the video, and then the CEO of Shift, his name's Sunji. Sunji gets a FaceTime from a New York number. He's like, what's going on? Well, he and I are on a call, and he's like, sorry, someone keeps calling me. He gets another FaceTime. I'm like, you should probably answer it. No one FaceTimes out of the blue. That's, whatever. Opens it. Holy shit, Casey Neistat. Hey, what's going on? And Casey's like, hey, the shoes malfunction or something like that. And I'm making you guys a video, and I want to get this done by tomorrow. I have a crew here for the next 2 days. We're in Manhattan. At the time, the company was in Pittsburgh. I was like, yo, get all of the engineers. So we took the lead engineer and then 2 of the other tech engineers. I'm like, grab all 7 samples, rent a minivan, drive up to Manhattan right now. So they left the office that day, drove up to Manhattan, got a hotel for the night, met Casey at his studio the next morning, and then basically customized the shoes to fit his walking pattern, gave him like an even further, like more in-depth experience, and they finished the video. And that was just one of the home runs from the project, but that was the one that was like, would he have made a video without that experience? Probably, but who knows? I think that going the extra mile there was what made it, like, quote unquote fast tracked. But there you go. That was the guerrilla marketing that went into nailing Casey and Neistat.
That right there is a masterclass in how to pull off a really interesting, unique marketing campaign. And it requires going so far above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Totally. And it's like all it is just real time. It's just doing things in real time is all it is. And so you can have a great strategy. If your top of funnel strategy is not based around SEO, you're really missing the ball. But if you do have a good strategy that is attracting eyeballs, it is your job to retain, nurture, and convert those eyeballs. And that's where marketing falls short. From my experience, that's where most firms and agencies fall short, is they're not invested in the company because they're here to, either quantify the output or, hey, well, we can only work X number of hours, or we can only do X. Well, look, like, to actually move the needle, there are some weeks you're going to have to work more and some that you're going to have to work less. And the thing is that the best orchestra and highest performing and best orchestrated plans that I've seen in the past, the marketing team can go on autopilot and just watch because everything's happening in real time. And then at that point, those real time, your ability to be open-minded and then be creative, which I think creativity is the reward for having a well-executed plan. Your ability to be creative is what's going to get you that earned PR and what's going to take the campaign to the next level.
100%. All right, my last question for you. What's been the most painful business lesson that you've learned so far in your career?
Read a contract before you sign it.
Oh no, that sounds like a story.
Yeah, that's everybody though. I think everyone's got to get screwed once, and if you get screwed twice in the same way, that's your own damn fault. You screwed yourself. So it's the most painful lesson is that money changes everything. So, dot your I's, cross your T's, know what you're getting into, and that's why I chose the industry that I chose, because most founders that I have the, blessing to work with are doing things because they believe in them. And I'm not driven or motivated by people that want to do things just because of either sheer, materialistic desires or, power grabs. So understanding that money is always going to change people's mindset is great. It's like that forever. Money's a weird thing. So just knowing what you're agreeing to and making sure that you've come to terms with that beforehand will save everybody a headache. And if someone tries to pull it sideways, you know that you got your ass covered because you already negotiated for the breakup on the front end.
Read your contracts. Teddy Giard, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for being a RightBlogger customer.
Totally, man. Thanks for having me.